create the highest, grandest vision possible for your life, because you become what you believe.
Deep down, ask yourselves, who do you want to be?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Majita number one, welcome to it. It's In the Game with Mpixo P, the greatest on Free State Online Network. And listen here, conversation, because for years we've had that a team will come to Bloemfontein, a team will come to Bloemfontein. An announcement was made a few seasons ago that a specific team is coming. But because of, a few things, that didn't happen, but we had a few games from them coming this side. And they announced again this season that they're coming. And listen here, last week, Thursday, the launch happened right here in Bloemfontein. Let me not do a lot of talking, because we've had Bafana, we've had Kaizer Chiefs, we've had the Springboks, but I can tell you, an entire season you're going to have a team in Bloemfontein, for sure. Marumo Gallants is coming. And a familiar face to the football fraternity is in the studio with us. That is Ntate Nduna. I'm quite excited. Ntate Nduna, from way back to now. Super excited that you are part of this wonderful movement that is coming through Marumo Gallants. First of all, welcome to Free State Online Network.
Well, Mpixo, thanks very much, and also for being part of this. And it's also an exciting time for me to be part of this interview today.
Listen, Ntate Nduna, when you were, I don't know how it works, right? If they came to you or you went to them, either way how it worked. But when they came to you, maybe if they came to you and said, listen, we want to work with you when we go to Bloemfontein, and this is happening, and finally we are here in a season where we can feel it, like Marumo is coming. How did you feel when you got that call?
I mean, look, the day I got the call and somebody giving me a call and telling me who he was and asking me if maybe what are my plans for tomorrow, then I started asking myself, why is this thing happening? But at the end of the day, I agreed to the appointment, which was here in Bloemfontein in one local hotel here. I had my own suspicions when they called and say, let's meet, come and sit around the table and discuss. I had my own suspicions up until I went there. And we discussed, and little did I know that that was actually an interview. I thought they were just coming, to inform me that they are here, how would I advise them. Then that's exactly what I did. But at the end of the day, come the end of our discussion, I was offered a contract, but I said, no, wait. Maybe go and think about it. Maybe you didn't make a good decision. Yeah. And that will also give me an opportunity to go and think about it, and also, consult my family as well.
For someone that doesn't know Ntate Nduna, you've been in the game for quite some time, for years even. Probably, I was probably still falling in love with football when you were, when you started the journey. But for somebody that doesn't know, how long have you been in the football fraternity? How long have you been, and how has it been? Because it has been quite a journey.
I mean, in terms of being involved in football, playing, I started just like an ordinary boy, being 3-4 years. But in terms of the administration part of it, I've actually been an administrator for full 25 years with the former Bloemfontein Celtic Football Club.
How has it been for you? And I know there's so many changes, over time where, there are different eras in this game, and you had the opportunity to really be in for 25 plus years.
Yes, and I can also tell me, that's why maybe most of the people were even saying I'm part of the furniture, because I've been through different owners. I started first with the late Dr. Rantlai Molemela. Then after the late Dr. Rantlai Molemela, I went with Jimmy Agosti. And from the Jimmy Agosti, I obviously went with Max Shabalala. And immediately after Max, I stayed for about 3 years when the team was obviously sold out of the province. And yeah, I'm back again now with Marumo Gallants under the leadership of the president, Dr. Abraham Sello.
Now let's get into what is more exciting for me. For you, what does it mean for finally, the Free State? I mean, we've had Bloem Celtic, we've had Free State Stars, and we've had a time where we didn't have a team at all. For you, what does this mean? Marumo finally coming and saying, listen, people of Bloemfontein, we coming to you, we are about to give you football?
I mean, first of all, I think maybe this will give me some time to sleep because I was not actually, getting enough sleep for the past 3 years. Knowing that, and even some of the people, feeling that the team went out of the province in our presence. But some of these things are the situations where if you don't have control over something, there's nothing that basically one can do. But obviously this is like the rebirth of professional football in Bloemfontein, and you are quite right. When you look in terms of the province, the Free State as a whole, the demise of Bloemfontein Celtic, the demise of Free State Stars, that left the aspiring football players in a difficult situation because whenever, and I would say they even lost hope of playing professional football, or even for them to be able to play professional football, that would mean they would obviously have to travel outside the Free State, go and try their luck in other provinces. But the return of professional football via Marumo Gallants, this will actually give the youngsters a hope that one day I would be able to play professional football via Marumo Gallants, and I wouldn't have to leave the province and go and try my luck somewhere else.
I like the fact that you touched on footballers, but what more for the fans? We know that Bloemfontein Celtic fans are the most decorated in Africa. I mean, we've had people just going to the stadium not to even watch the game, but to be part of the whole atmosphere, the vibe that Bloem Celtic used to bring and give us, the fans for that matter. We know Makufe, people would just literally come to just be part of that song, be part of that culture, to come and take videos and take to show, social media, the internet, back at home where they come from. For you, what more for the fans?
I mean, look, you talk in terms of the entire universe. There are basically 3 stadiums where you would get this kind of an excitement. Firstly, it's anywhere in Bloemfontein, be it Dr. Rantlai Molemala Stadium, be it the Free State Stadium. And the second stadium in the entire world, you go to Anfield.
Yeah.
That's where you will get such passionate supporters. And the third stadium is obviously the others. So for the people down here and also for the supporters, it means quite a lot. You also look at the economic spin-off of the city itself. Hotels will be fully booked, guest houses will be fully booked, and people will obviously get some temporary employment. You look on match day, where sometimes you are required to hire almost 250 securities for a match day. And some of those people who are staying at home and don't have anything to do, at least they would have something. They would be able to pay to put something on the table. And you also look at the mamas who are obviously selling the plates. I can even tell you about so many people that I know that they have been able to pay for their kids' school fees via the money that they were making in terms of selling the plates and everything. So this will definitely be a good economic spin-off for the city and also for the supporters. But most importantly, when coming to the football fanatics, this will also give them an opportunity, because when you look around, basically on weekends down here, people don't have anything to do, anything to look forward to. But with the Marumo Gallants games coming up, surely people would obviously be looking forward to the games on weekends and even sometimes even midweek games.
Can I safely say Sundays will never be the same? I know with the previous club, we used to have these games on Sundays, and it was a vibe. My Sundays kind of feel awkward now because I knew on Sunday, definitely I have no other plans except for going to the stadiums. Would this mean now Sundays are no longer the same?
In fact, it could even be Saturdays.
Yeah.
Because remember, you've also had people traveling outside Bloemfontein coming to watch the game. And obviously, if you have somebody driving all the way from Kroonstad, driving all the way from Welkom, driving all the way from Tweespruit, wherever, coming down to Bloemfontein on a Sunday. Remember, the following day, Monday, they've got to go back to their work. And there have always been, a request, even previously, that can't we also have a look at the situation of hosting some of our games on Saturdays. When you look at the first game, the 14th of September, that game will be a Saturday game. So that will give people enough opportunity even for the following day, which will be on Sunday. For them, obviously, firstly, to travel safely back to their different destinations. And obviously, for those who might be having this and that to do, that will also give them an opportunity. So definitely, Saturdays are no longer going to be the same come the Marumo Gallants games.
Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to chat more about the relocation, state of readiness Are we ready to host? Are we ready to have Marumo? Because the first time the announcement was made, that didn't really. We waited, we waited. We were told the stadium is going to be ready, and we ended up having a whole season where, listen, nothing happened. We had one game, that was Mamelodi Sundowns Marumo. But are we ready this time around to host the games? Let's go to a quick break. When we come back, we're definitely having that deep chat with Sello Nduna.
Who do you want to be?
Create the highest, grandest vision possible for your life because
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to In the Game with Mpixo, the greatest on Free State Online Network. We are still having a conversation with Sello Nduna on Marumo Gallants coming down. We were a bit light in the first segment, but in the second, we want to go a little bit deeper and chat all the nitty-gritties that needs to be met, with the team coming this side. First of all, Sello Nduna, let's talk about readiness in terms of stadiums, which was an issue last time Marumo Gallants having to move this side where Dr. Rantlai Molemela was not ready, and I think some of the games were played in Val. Some, in fact, some of the games were played in Val because we were not ready, and we waited, and we kept on waiting until the season, was over. This time around, is the move a showcase with no issues of saying facilities are not ready?
In fact, there's no point of turning back currently. We are in Bloemfontein, and all our home games are going to be played in Bloemfontein, including the Cup games. And we are basically looking at the three stadiums. We are looking at the Free State Stadium, Dr. Rantlai Molemela Stadium. We are also looking at the Kaizersborg Stadium in Botshabelo, because you must also remember our DDC team. And the immediate thing for us to be able to come and play over this side, that's why we had to do it differently compared to the way how we did it last time, and also to engage relevant stakeholders. And that's why most of our discussions with the different stakeholders, particularly with the Mangaung Metro Municipality, because remember, stadiums are not being owned by teams. Stadiums are obviously being owned by the municipality. So that's one area that, as I'm speaking to you, they are quite busy in terms of trying to get Dr. Rantlai Molemela Stadium where it's supposed to be. And immediately, I'm surely within the next couple of days, obviously the Mangaung Metro Municipality will be inviting the PSL to come and inspect how the pitch looks like. But the fortunate thing for us was the issue that the league will only be playing our first game on the 14th of September. But with, obviously, as one of the requirements within the Premier Soccer League, you are requested to register two stadiums, which will be your home venue and which will be obviously your alternative venue. And you must also remember that we will not only be the only tenants at the Free State Stadium, but you've got your Cheetahs as well, and the Kai Cup season is also taking over. That's why we are looking at Free State Stadium, looking at Dr. Rantlai Molemela Stadium, as well as the Kaizersborg Stadium. But by the 14th, the first game against Kaizer Chiefs will definitely be played at the Free State Stadium.
I like the fact that you just mentioned that the municipality. So this is a commitment from the municipality to say by the start of your first game, the facilities will be ready, and we'll definitely invite the PSL to come and inspect and say, listen, we are giving go ahead. Yes,
fortunately, we've got options. Let me also inform the viewers at home that what we are looking at, 95% of our home games, we want to play them at Dr. Rantlai Molemela Stadium. You'll only be taking, your big capacity games, to the Free State Stadium, your Kaizer Chiefs, Orlando Pirates, as well as Mamelodi Sundowns. But the bulk of our home games, we want to play them at Dr. Rantlai Molemela Stadium, and we hope by that time the stadium will be ready to be played. As like I'm also giving assurance that currently they are busy working on it. But should there be maybe one or two unforeseen challenges, Free State Stadium, fortunately, will still be. That's why we had to sit around the table and also look at our fixtures, and as well look also at the Cheetahs' fixtures, so that we are not going to experience any clashes.
Now, with those two stakeholders, with all those stakeholders that you touched on being spoken to, there's another group of people that I know they're passionate about this, and they've been, called in, and they even brought in songs about Marumo, Marumo right now, with the Bloem Celtic supporters. Have they been engaged, and are they moving with you guys as Marumo Gallants to say, listen, here's the situation, now we have a team, we showed support last time the team was here, are we continuing with the relationship between these two parties?
I mean, there's no way you would get into Bloemfontein and don't engage Siwelele supporters. We've had a series of meetings with them, and I can also indicate to you we are still going to continue having meetings with them. And even the 2 seasons back when we came in here as Marumo Gallants Football Club, I mean, there was no way you would come in and don't negotiate with them. And that's exactly, we've had a series of meetings, hence we've came also on Thursday when we launched our jersey. I'm sure you also saw the supporters jersey written hashtag Siwelele Samarumo. In fact, only Rumo side. And these are some of the partnerships that we are still going to continue having with the Siwelele supporters, because at the end of the day, we need them. They need to rally behind the team. And obviously, and the question might also be, if they start rallying behind the team, what is it there for our supporters? And this will obviously be an opportunity for even like the youngsters, like I indicated earlier on, even for their hope of playing professional football. But obviously, we will also be looking at working hand in hand with our legends, and also to be part of that. I mean, look, I can't be in a position also to go and say, I go and try and scout the talent, but the only people who will be able to assist us in that regard will obviously be our legends, as well as we're quite aware that also our supporters are so passionate about this football. There are some in areas where we might not be aware of certain players, but they are also going to play a key role in terms of identifying us and also notifying us about a certain particular, a talented player.
I love that hashtag. Only Rumo side. Hey, Ziakala, we're moving. I'm really loving that Nduna to say you are engaging with the fans, because for me they make a very important part of what football is in the Free State as a province. You spoke about the start of the season, right? You guys playing Kaizer Chiefs at the Free State Stadium. In terms of all the games that you are going to play here in Bloemfontein, one of the biggest things in football is us being able to make part of the team and being registered members of the team. And I touch on this because one of the movements that I've realized in the Premier Soccer League is that teams are now starting to get real funds, from companies that come in and support. And it would be awesome to have a team in Bloemfontein that gets sponsors, because we are members of a club. We're not just supporters that go to the stadium and say, but you have a membership card and you can put it out there and say, I'm a member of this team, I don't just support. Does Marumo Gallants have a space where membership cards will be created for individuals that says, I want to be a member of the club and support the club fully?
Definitely. I mean, look, maybe before I start answering your question directly, let me also indicate to you that I've also had discussions with Marumo Gallants branches all over in Limpopo. I've also had communication with Marumo Gallants branches in Gauteng, as well as in Mpumalanga. And for us, it's going to be very much key for us to make sure that the Siwelele supporters, together with the already established Marumo Gallants branches, they come together and they also, form of a one unit. Because you must also remember, whenever we play, say, in Limpopo, that is still going to be our home game.
Definitely.
Because we've got a lot of supporters also in Limpopo. We've got a lot of supporters, obviously, in Gauteng. But yes, in terms of the membership cards, that's exactly something that we should be making announcements in due course. But this is one area that we are looking forward to, because for you to be able to acquire a sponsorship, you need numbers. And this will definitely be calling upon us to make sure that those numbers, and also football has changed. The landscape has changed as well. You also look in terms of the social media platforms, where we are also still encouraging our supporters also to get active on those, because numbers are definitely the ones that will be able to also give you a financial sponsorship.
Listen, I'm quite excited that you're going to have that part because for me, I felt, the big three will always do better in terms of sponsorship because for obvious reasons. They're fans, they've got memberships. But with all these other teams in the PSL, including Marumo, the struggle will always be we are just supporters that don't, contribute in a certain way to say, let's help with the numbers, let the club get those sponsorships, let's get football happening in our province, in our townships, and let's put not only ourselves at an opportunity of entertainment, but like you mentioned earlier, let's put the young stars that are from the province in an opportunity also to be able to do what they love and one day, just one day, to be paid for it because there's a lot of players coming from the Free State that deserves this opportunity, but some of them will never be seen because there's no platform. I'm quite excited, and the fact that you mentioned that, even Marumo supporters from all the other branches have been in touch. That's quite amazing, Nduna. But before we close the conversation off, I'm gonna take another break. When we come back, we're just gonna wrap it up and then just close this chat. But officially now that Nduna has put it out there that Marumo is coming. All stakeholders have been spoken to. I'm just waiting for the first game. I can tell you now. That's how excited I am. Let's go into a break. When we come back, we are wrapping the conversation up for sure. Ayoba.
Who do you want to be?
Create the highest, grandest vision possible for your life because
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to In the Game with Mpixo P, the greatest on Free State Online Network. And Nduna is still in the house. Listen, exciting times that, finally Marumo Gallants is coming to Bloemfontein. No turning back, for sure. Nduna, no turning back is the statement. Marumo sign is the hashtag. I love it. But when will we see the players coming down to Bloemfontein and we welcome them, to the Free State? We welcome them and say they're finally here. Because I think that's another important part. I remember last time when they came to play against Sundowns, when they came and they went to the hotel, Siwelele supporters came out in numbers. They welcomed the boys and it was quite exciting. You could see even at the stadium, that in itself was sort of like marketing in a way because everybody all of a sudden wanted to go to the game, seeing the love, and the appreciation the boys got when they jumped on off that bus in Bloemfontein. When will we see the boys coming down?
The boys will be coming in the next couple of days. Give us almost 10 days. And while still talking about how the reception is going to be, we had 4 players last week, Thursday, who unveiled our replica jerseys. The home jersey, the away jersey, the alternative jersey, as well as the goalkeeper jersey. The following day, on Friday morning, literally, they didn't want to go back to Gauteng, where the pre-season camp is being held. Because of the reception they received for the launch, for 3-4 hours, and the following day they were saying, no, it's better for them to stay here. And I said to them, no guys, we need to prepare, go out there, but let's wait when the actual day when the team, the coach Dan Malesela will be coming up with the boys here. Because look, after we purchased the Morocco Swallow status, there were a number of issues that we have to deal with. And also remember that last season we were still cheap. So it was a bit of a challenge where we had about plus or minus 60 players. So even with our previous coach, he had to deal with that. But at the end of the day, try and trim the squad to a manageable number. But so far so good. Give us in the next 10 days. It could even be before that, because we are only finalizing the issue of the accommodation where everything has now been settled. So once that has been done, players will be coming and we are going to make an announcement.
You know what, you touched on something I wanted to touch on, that is, the merge, trying to make sure that everything is settled, knowing very well that you bought a status from Morocco Swallows, and we know that obviously you're going to keep some of the players from your side, all those nitty-gritties, but you can safely say everything has been settled as far as that is concerned.
Everything has been settled because legally, when you purchase a status, you are obliged to take over the existing contracts. And that's why we had about 13 players from Morocco Swallows who still had contracts with Morocco Swallows. And we obviously had a couple of players as well with Marumo Gallants who still had contracts. But what happened when Dylan Kerr was also appointed as the new coach, he obviously indicated to us he would still, even those who were out of contract by then, he still wanted to have a week or two so that he could look at some of them. And that's exactly what we did. We gave him the opportunity to look at those players even before we could even bring some of the new players. And surely even before the beginning of the season, expect us to, we might even bring about 2 or 3 players, to make sure that we beef up our squad, because what we said for this particular season, 2024-2025, we want to try and do things differently compared to how we did things the previous 2 seasons.
Nduna, in terms of the team, you mentioned Ntate Dan Malesela coming in on board as the new head coach now. We know the style of football that he plays is quite exciting, but what are the goals for the club in terms of the season? At what level do you guys want to compete? Because also that is very important, I think, for our viewers at home to know that, this is what the team targets for the season.
Mpixo, firstly, we want to make sure that we establish a team. And we also want to be practical. We don't want to be too ambitious. We're planning to make sure that we build a team that will compete. And obviously, one thing that we don't want relegation to be part of our vocabulary.
Please.
We want to make sure that we go all out there to compete and make sure that we build a stronger team. We'll start talking about, challenging for some silverware in our second season. This season, if it comes, that will be a bonus, but we want to establish a solid team that we know we are not going to be talking anything about relegation, but we're looking around, finishing in the top 10 teams that will be good for us as a team.
Nduna, I like you mentioning the top 10. I love it there. Relegation out of the way, because I think talking to a lot of people, some of the fears were that, once a team starts getting relegated, it becomes familiar with relegation. And, one of the things I was taught by Coach Renara Murebu, he would say, if a team starts playing right there, one day we'll have another Santos, another Merin Rangers, that a team went, and then history will be part of. I like the fact that you mentioned. But now, in terms of the seasons that are coming, what sort of culture does Marumo want to build in the Free State?
I think earlier on you touched on the big 3. And deliberately, I let you talk about the big 3. But within the next coming 2 seasons and moving forward, Marumo Gallants we want to make sure that we build a strong football brand that will obviously start competing. Hence, I'm mentioning from our second season within the Premier Soccer League, we'd obviously want to build, but we also want to be known as one team that is also playing a good brand of football, a football that will also give some youngsters an opportunity. But obviously, you cannot rely on youngsters only. You still need, experience. But with us, it's just saying, give us this season. We're building the football, a team that is going to compete. But from next season, then you can come and we'll be talking a different story, as well as even in terms of our goals that we want to achieve. We'll be talking something different compared to this season.
Acquisition of Tate Dan Malesela, what does it mean for the club? And also, I'm asking this, like I'm saying, he's one of my favorite coaches because of his style of football, right? More South African, more exciting. We know players that even come from him, super exciting players. But for the club, what does that acquisition mean?
I mean, look, we obviously needed to make sure that we bring someone who knows and understands the culture of Marumo Gallants Football Club. But we also wanted to make sure that we do things rightly this time, to make sure that we bring in somebody who understands the local players, who has worked with quite a number of players, even those that might not be on his team. He should be able to, can be able to realize that I know this boy, his potential. But with Dan Malesela, we believe he's the kind of coach who will be able to take the team, Marumo Gallants, into the future, particularly because of his brand of football, the philosophy that he believes in. And that's one area that we would like to be known like that. And I hope a number of teams are going to be able to to match Marumo Gallants come the beginning of the season. You will obviously watch. I had the privilege of watching the team training as well as playing a couple of friendly games. And let's wait for the 14th of September for the league to start. Then you'll tell me what I told you today, exactly what we obviously had in mind.
Let's wait for the 14th of September. That's the word. I can't wait. Nduna, thank you so much for coming to our studios and gracing us with your presence. Listen, we're going to have more and more conversations, obviously, as the season progresses. But for now, this is where we end the conversation. I'm super excited. I'm out of words that we are finally having football back in Bloemfontein.
Well, thanks very much as well on behalf of Marumo Gallants. You actually invited us to our home. I'm looking at the colors in here. That's the main colors. And also, thanks very much to the viewers as well.
Listen, that's how we wrap up the conversation with Sello Nduna. Listen, if you are from Bloom, this name, you know this name, man. One day, he must write a book. I'm asking him right now, right here, to write a book. But as always, I'll never leave without saying this: to whom much is given, much is expected. To whom much is expected, much is required. Every champion that is a champion today was once a contender who refused to give up. I'm Mpixo, the greatest for Free State Online Network. God willing, I'll see you next time.